G'day everyone, Stefan Fischer here from All Off Road. Welcome to our new Australian Desert series. This time around I'm teaming up with a long-range desert group, and together we are loosely tracing the footsteps of the legendary South Australian explorer Charles Winnecke. So join us on this unforgettable outback adventure. It's 6:15, actually a bit later than usual. Beautiful. It's honestly now 45 minutes, no flies, beautiful tempered weather. Sun is going up behind me, but I don't think you can see that yet. Yeah, very pleasant. Today's supposed to be another hot day, and then tomorrow it's getting a bit cooler, which is good. How are you?
All good, except for the flies.
Yes. What time is it? Precisely?
Don't know.
Oh, you don't have your watch on?
Have a watch on.
The flies are out at well before daylight.
Yeah.
Little friendly little chuckers they are.
Now that's a good cooker as well.
It is a good cooker.
Yeah,
Very good.
I have to say. But you need a gas bottle, I guess.
Very happy with it. Companion.
Chops brekkie.
Ricky with the
Yogurt.
yogurt.
Good. Morning, Stephen.
Good morning, Stefan.
How was your night?
Oh, look, I missed my flies. I'm glad they're back.
Yeah, fortunately, I couldn't wait.
Oh, yeah, they're early risers and they were so anxious to see us again, I think.
Yeah, they were waiting for us.
Yeah, well, we'll take them on a little journey with us further into the desert so they can get to experience more of their environment. How would that be?
I hope no homies, not too many at least. Well, we have a bit of thunder coming behind us here. It's no rain forecast, but looks pretty dark there. I wouldn't be too keen on rain here. Now we're having rain in the desert. Big storm, but I think we're on the outskirts. Thunder, I don't know whether you saw the lightning. So yeah, don't see that often in the desert. Moving on now, but I think it will be fairly isolated because really we didn't have any rain forecast. But you know, so much for weather forecasts.
All right, gentlemen, let's find our way out of here, and yeah, bonus we can get out without staking a tyre, eh?
That would be nice. Because my one, if I have pressure on it, it's a pretty damn big gap there. I don't think that will be fixable once it goes through. Then I'm down to one tire, and the only one on 35s, I think. After a fair bit of cross-country driving, we're back on the main track and heading to our next destination. I'm still using the Garmin Mini or InReach Mini 2. I got an unlimited plan for this month. Yeah, so that I can text with kids and wife and so on. Yeah, it works out very well. I guess, you know, in a year or two that's probably all obsolete because your mobile phones will do that. That's a Garmin actually beeping there, getting a message. So yeah, still love that. I left the Zoleo at home and probably gonna sell it Yeah, I prefer the Garmin. I think the Zoleo has a better message interface and so on. That is nicer. But I've seen too many issues and experienced myself too many issues with the Zoleo. I don't trust it 100%. And the big advantage again on the Garmin is that you can mark waypoint and you have some very basic mapping. But when we nearly got lost walking in the ranges, I had the camp on here, and it certainly does work and will get you kind of home. And because I also do walk a lot, I definitely prefer the InReach Mini 2. Now I guess fully in the desert, trying to pick up the tracks here from Stephen, who is ahead. That's not always easy, and at the same time there's a lot of dry wood here, so we don't want to stake a tire. So yeah, I haven't aired up my rear tire much with that big cut in. I think we'll see how it lasts. Obviously higher pressure, less flex, possibly better for the tire, possibly not, I'm not sure. So just see how I go. And Luxtreme is here. I've never seen so many flocks of dromedaries in the desert like on this trip. While it's cool to see camels, or better what we see here, dromedaries in the wild and in the desert, they are an introduced species and regarded as a pest. They eat native plants like there is no tomorrow, and that in return causes a lot of soil erosion. They also do a lot of damage to the few water sources available, and they are also known to damage fences and other infrastructure. Camels were actually introduced to Australia in the 19th century, mainly for transportation and labour. Over time they've become feral, and now Australia has one of the largest populations of feral camels in the world. These camels are mostly dromedaries, which are the one-hump variety. They are mostly found in the arid regions like the outback and the desert, and they can be a bit of a problem for the environment and native species. We're now even exporting camels back from Australia to the Middle East because we have better bloodlines here. We were now back to straight desert driving on very little used old tracks. We set up camp in one of the Gidgee groves and enjoyed the afternoon. 7 o'clock still flies. Unbelievable. Right next to my camp was a spot where the camels have a dust bath, so I wasn't too surprised when all of a sudden they appeared in camp. Camels right in my camp. It was an awesome experience having the camels walking around my camp. I think it was the last night in the desert. Fairly fresh this morning again. Oh, finally, no flies. So that is something which we haven't had, but at least 10 degrees cooler like the weather forecast said. I missed the sunrise. I didn't sleep that well. We had the whole night quite a bit of wind. I'm still using the Delta press to make my coffee, and it hasn't failed on me. Initially I wasn't sure how long it would last, but so far it stood the test of time. I'm really disappointed with that stretcher because have a look how much the head end sags. So the foot end as well, but with the head is even worse because look how low your head lies now. So you really need a huge cushion. This does not really do a very good job here, unfortunately. No, that is very disappointing. It should be like this. Because you start getting a headache because the head lies in a hole here. Driving these sandy tracks was pretty straightforward and everything was reasonably compacted and nothing was difficult. However, there were one or two dunes which really caught you out because the top of the dune all of a sudden was super soft. This is one of the dunes where Chop got caught out. However, he does exactly the right thing. As soon as he realizes he's stuck, he backs off the throttle and reverses back down to give it a second shot. On the next attempt he takes a much longer run up and he knows what he is in for and is keeping that momentum up. If you keep up with my channel, you know I've been putting various DCS lithium batteries through their paces right under the hood. Well, I had to pull the last set out in August. Why? They lost a significant amount of juice, 53% in one, 30% capacity in the second one, and that just after 16 months. Not great. So for me, my lithium under bonnet experiments are over. So what am I using on this trip? I've switched back to a more traditional setup. I've got two Energizer S110L EFB batteries under the hood now, handling the starting and winching duties. At the back of the cruiser I now have a new Live PO4 setup, so let me show you. Yeah, my new battery setup with the Red Arc Alpha 150, the Red Arc 700 watt inverter, my old BCDC 1250, the Red Arc. Obviously early days, it's a first trip, but everything performed as expected, actually nearly as expected. I have to still figure something out with the BCDC charger. The way it is installed now is in the back. I mean, I reckon it has fairly good airflow, but on hot days, and especially if I also have the inverter running, it just limits the current quite a bit, and it means it just takes a bit longer to charge the battery back up. So yeah, that is something I have to look at, maybe putting a fan on top of the inverter or so, something I have to come up with there. I have been used charging with 100 amps for my DCS alternator charged, and that is really, yeah, the only drawback I see so far, charging at only 50 amps if lucky, because quite often it charges as less. But if I do shorter drives, for example an hour or two, I may not get enough juice back in to completely recharge the battery. However, overall the Red Arc Super B Alpha 150 performed yeah, as expected, but it is early days, so we will see over the next few years how that continues. Decent sized waterhole. Terry, get the swimmers. We were quite surprised to come across this pretty decent sized waterhole on the fringes of the Simpson Desert. We were now back on main gravel dirt roads and it was time to air up a bit more. I'm still using the JMAC PEM 1000, that's probably in the 5th year now. In my book it's the fastest way to air up tires and do something else in between, because it automatically shuts off when the tire reaches a certain pressure. Yeah, rod 11 works brilliant, so it's still faint and it goes in and out, but I have no reception by the mobile phone yet. But I just had all that messages coming through via the rod 11, even though I can't even see a reception with the phone yet, but we close to, so clearly, yeah, there is some sort of signal here. At the moment it's gone again. It came up here also for a short while, but yeah, I mean, it does exactly what it says it does. We were all quite surprised that the trip ended so abruptly, as the original plan was to spend around 9 days in the desert, and we certainly drove past many spots I would have loved to spend more time. For me it was a 5,000 kilometer round trip to get to and from, and while we have seen some amazing country, but given the fuel costs and the 8 days travel to and from, it is not a trip I would do again for such a short time spent in the desert. Once we were back on tar, Chop took a detour to hang with some friends in Yawa. Stephen and Terry decided to make their way towards the Flinders Ranges. And I thought, hey, why not explore those small national parks in Queensland that I usually just pass by. So next on my list is Wellfoot National Park, but heads up, my trusty cruiser runs into mechanical hiccups. So you won't want to miss the next episode. It's shaping up to be quite adventurous. So guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please keep in mind this is a self-funded channel, so I would greatly appreciate if you could help me out by sharing, liking and subscribing. And if you can, please consider head over to Patreon or buy me a coffee, and with the equivalent of a cup of coffee or 2 per month, you can really help me making these videos. Thanks a lot for watching and see you along the tracks.